You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
3, 2, 1.
Spook.
We are gathered here as advisors, as scientists.
The kind of place we expect a ghost to like to wander around.
Hey, we all know that we're gonna die, baby.
I'll help you. I'm something of a witch.
Welcome to Mission Spooky. I'm your host, JC. With me today, as per usual, is the queen of everything herself, Kiki, and our local cryptid expert, Cord. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Strangely well rested.
As we're recording this, my little brother will be getting married tomorrow, and I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
I'm tired and excited.
Tired sighted.
Yeah.
Tired.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, have you guys seen the show Invincible? Oh
No.
my gosh!
No.
No.
What little free time that I have right now, I'm spending in the middle of the night playing Resident Evil, but I haven't gotten very far because I have no free time.
Fair.
I am actually finally catching up and watching The Witcher.
Wow,
I have not
that's
watched
like
that yet either.
3 years old.
Yeah.
Kid'll do it to you, man.
I have not started watching that either.
I think it's only 8 episodes, so I got through Star Trek Discovery. That's what I watched 3 seasons. Brilliant. Can't wait for Pike. Anson Mount is one of my favorite. He plays Captain Pike in Star Trek Discovery, and he'll have his own show. For any of you guys listening now, I will start releasing, hopefully this week, episodes of our Pot of Holding, which will get put into this podcast instead of having 2 separate ones. There's going to be a couple of interviews, one of them being with Logan, who was on the show in our Cord versus Cryptid. Yeah, right. And then we're going to have Ben coming on. I did an interview with Ben as well, which was really cool because he's the DM for that show that Logan's on. And after that, it's just a whole bunch of our movie reviews. So we're going to be putting that in here. Those are for fun. I'll tell you what, Apple Music is going to give us a pain in my butt because it asked me if we have third-party content. And I said yes. And it said, do we have permission to use third-party content? And I said yes. Honestly, I'm really feeling like I'm going to get some letter from Apple that they took our podcast down because we're using music. And then I'm going to tell them to go fuck off. Spotify only. Sorry.
Got him.
Can only listen to us on Spotify, and you can thank Apple because they're a bunch of dicks. So if we suddenly don't show up on Apple anymore, it's because they are making us sign a third-party licensing type agreement thingamabobber, which is not a problem with us being on Anchor. And the reason I chose Anchor is because we're locked in with Spotify, and Spotify allows us to play any freaking music we want. Like I could literally play Led Zeppelin on this podcast as long as it's available on Spotify without permission. Okay. The permission comes from our agreement with Anchor and Spotify, right? Apple wants this special, like, say that I have permission. Well, technically we do, because we here at Mission Spooky absolutely love our guest musicians. They sign an agreement just saying that it's okay for us to play their music, and in turn we get to talk about them and promote them. So if for some reason this doesn't work out with Apple, if they're going to give us a hard time about it, yeah, we're just going to have to nope out of Apple Podcasts, which sucks because that's about half of our listenership right now.
Yikes.
So, I'm just saying, blame it on Apple. If we become not available on there, if it's because of this, I don't want to give up promoting local bands because of that issue. But hopefully it won't be. Fingers crossed. I honestly am hoping that it comes down to, like, if someone said they're playing our music and they didn't have permission,
Right?
which we would never do, because we have a relation.
I would,
because we have a relationship with our musician. We talk to them, we promote them, we love them. So, and everyone that's been on the show, we continue to promote. If you check us out on Instagram and Twitter, you'll see that we continue to promote them like straight through, like they're part of our family. So, hopefully it'll be fine. Anyway, normally that'd be in the C section, but I feel like that's pretty important to mention at this point because we've come this far, and I would be so mad I'd also be mad if I have to give up this part of the podcast because we have a really positive response about the musicians that we have on. So I don't really want to give that up. Like today's musician is going to be awesome. I love these guys, but I'm not going to tell you who it is yet because that's not until later.
So yeah, JC, I got some cool news this week.
Okay.
My boss might have stumbled upon what technically might be a Pennsylvania cryptid.
The squonk?
No, not the squonk.
Oh.
He's been geocaching for like decades, like since geocaching like existed. He's been geocaching. And he said this one time, I'm pretty sure he said he was in Reading. He stumbled upon this cave when he was like in the middle of the fucking woods. He ended up going into this cave, and I guess he came in contact with what was literally a wall of what he called this really weird orange bug. Millions of these things all over the wall. And I'm a bug guy, so I was like, what bugs are found in caves in Pennsylvania? He's like, no, it's not that, no, it's not that, no, it's not that. And he went for a quick Google search, and he's like, this is the bug that I saw. It's really strange. It's one of the coolest spiders I think I've ever come across. The spider called the Trogloraptor.
What? That's a
it's-
baller ass name.
Oh my god. Okay, that's creepy. No.
It's really strange because it's got like hook legs like a normal insect would instead of a spider. Spider have like the pads and shit. Like they're really rare. They have trouble doing research on them because people like scientists think they have an extremely specific diet because they'll take them and put them in the lab and they just won't eat anything that a spider eats. So they think that they have these specific diets. They have found one specimen ever that was outside of a cave, and it was in the middle of the redwood forest, and it was dead. And that's the really bizarre thing about this story is they were like observed in Oregon and like Northern California. And he's like, this is absolutely the fucking insect I saw. And we did some more research, and there has been a couple other people that are saying like this spider is in Pennsylvania. We went to a cave, we found all fuck ton of these spiders. The only other place that it is seen is in Oregon. So technically, I think that makes it a Pennsylvania cryptid because it's not supposed to be here. And there are multiple people that are like, this is definitely here. And then I sat and thought, is there a huge net of cave systems that fucking go from Oregon to PA? Like, that'd be sick. We just don't fucking know about them.
The whole Hellier thing is about cave networks spanning large portions of our country and cryptids essentially using them to transport themselves all over the place.
Sure, yeah.
So I mean, this seems kind of plausible. I would hate to think that there are cave systems that go for 3,000 plus miles from PA to far west PA.
Even if it's not like a huge cave, like, you know, you don't need a lot of space for a spider to crawl through and eventually like come out on the other side, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't have to be like a cave for us. It could just be like a very small hole, but that's still kind of crazy to me.
I've literally been thinking about this for like 4 days now. Just like, this thing is so fucking cool. Like doing all this research on it because I'm like, this thing's not supposed to be here. It's a fucking cryptid. Yo! The only bug that I could find, the only insect I could find that...
So basically I need to create a cryptid that's a cave robber spider because, by the way, that's what it translates to.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fucking cool.
I like the combination of the word troglodyte and raptor to just make Trogloraptor.
Yeah, that's an insanely cool name.
It is.
It is.
And I think we should make it a D&D monster. Troglodytes that ride raptors.
Oh. But anyway, that's the story I want to talk about.
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
Cool spider.
they're badass spiders. I mean,
It's a trap spider, so it doesn't like make a web. It like hangs from a single strand and hunts, but I don't think anybody has ever observed it catching anything. It's also an extremely new species.
Yeah, like 2012.
Yeah, it's very, very new. There's not a lot that's known about it.
We have a promo today from Canadien SPIRIT. Kelly's the host over there. Kelly went on a rant. This one, I don't even know how I got to this podcast. It's kind of funny how this happens for those of us in the paranormal circles, but it popped up and I listened to it and it made me laugh because he went on this very polite rant. It started out polite. I'm sorry, that's a Canadian stereotype, but it's really funny. But he goes on this rant about QAnon, and I was like, I love you, Kelly. I'm going to listen to everything. I downloaded everything that they had done up to that point. I was like, I'm listening to all of it. That's great. You don't have to apologize, Kelly. Not a bit. We're good. So listen to that promo and then go follow them and please go listen to Canadien SPIRIT. Yeah, Spirit actually is Supernatural Paranormal Investigations and Research Institute. And now I have to pee.
Wow.
Oh my god.
It's good. It's a good thing we're in a commercial break.
But when we get back,
Kiki will have emptied her bladder.
Well, part of this recording was not commercial break so far.
I know, like none of it. This is a walking disaster. This podcast.
We just
sometimes.
want to like
didn't
start
do
over.
anything yet. We haven't even
I know.
explained
How
the
we,
subject of the episode.
that comes now. So let me
Right now.
after
Well,
you
she has to
listen.
go to the bathroom.
Just hold on. After you listen to this wonderful promo from Canadien SPIRIT, we'll be right back and we are going to be talking about our first part of, again, I say multi-part episodes on all kinds of cursed objects. Today is killer clothing and cursed clothing.
Yeah.
Noise.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Darcy, founder of Spirit.
And I'm Kelly, the Chief Technical Officer of Spirit.
Back in 2011, we formed the Supernatural Paranormal Investigations and Research Institute, searching for answers to mysterious things that were happening in our little corner of Canada.
And we haven't stopped searching for those answers ever since. Join us on our podcast, Canadien SPIRIT, as we dive into all of Canada's most famous and forgotten paranormal mysteries. Examine the evidence and try to figure out what might be behind Canada's ghosts, cryptids, and UFO encounters.
In Canadien SPIRIT, you'll get a peek behind the curtain and see for yourself what being a paranormal investigator is really like, and learn something about Canadian history, which isn't as boring as it sounds.
Even if it is, we're a pair of chuckle fucks, so we'll do our best to make it entertaining.
So come along for the ride and discover for yourself what makes the land of maple and hockey so wonderfully weird.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, wherever you find your podcasts. And remember,
Raccoons are aliens, werewolves are perverts, and ghosts are just downright rude sometimes.
Welcome back from that commercial break, guys. Hope you're
Oh.
excited to hear about some killer fashion.
So bad.
Look, I made it up on the spot. Shut the fuck up. You're lucky I'm not doing like Zoolander references
I'm surprised you
because
didn't go.
Please do Zoolander references. I'm all for it.
I'm surprised he didn't do the dead is the new black this year.
no, I'm good.
Okay.
I got the black lung, daddy. Fucking Zoolander.
I know.
What an amazing movie.
It actually is.
Yeah, I know.
I love that movie.
Let's give a 30-minute review of the movie.
No, I
Zoolander.
don't want to do it. No.
No. If that's what we're doing, I'm leaving.
Cold Steel. Was that what it was? The look?
Yeah, Blue Steel.
Blue Steel. Sorry, that's right. Blue Steel. Did I tell you? Yeah, I probably did by now.
What?
I went to school with Christine Taylor, his wife.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we went to high school together.
Do you think like she could get me a job doing something that's not this?
No.
When I say not this, I don't mean Mission Spooky. I mean retail.
I got you.
Anyway, killer clothing.
I know. We keep getting off topic. This is what happens when we're locked up for too long and we don't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Speaking for myself. Anyway, so there's been a lot of actual killer clothing over the years, as in, things made specifically that turn out to be quite deadly. I think probably one of the most famous ones is the scarf incident that happened to a very famous dancer named Isadora Duncan. It was the fall of 1927. She had on her famous red scarf, which apparently, rumor had it, she started wearing because she was a communist. She went for a drive in her convertible, and apparently the scarf got blown backward through the breeze. I guess it was very long, massively long scarf. It gets caught in the back wheel and tears her head off.
Whoa.
Wowzers.
I actually think the Isadora Duncan story is not completely true. You know what I mean?
I feel like a fabric would rip
I
before
know.
your head. Like that's my. I'm not a scientist.
It depends on the fabric, my man.
That's fair. That's fair.
There's a precedence for someone being around machinery most of my life now. Like,
Right?
you're not allowed to wear certain things in the
Yep.
factory because you will get shoved into the machine.
That's fair.
If it's like a sheer scarf or something, it'll probably disintegrate just from being in the wind.
If you got a sturdier cloth, that could really mess you up.
What's really funny is like a lot of these things are a little just slightly overdone, right? So everything is true about the story except for her head actually doesn't pop off. She got flung backward over the top, like it was a small convertible car. This was in Paris, by the way, in 1927. And she gets flung backward from the vehicle into the street and died instantly. Head intact.
That makes a little more sense. So her neck didn't rip. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Like neck broken, head still intact. Yeah, I've had to go through and debunk a lot of these, unfortunately, but they're still fun. Like the legend part of it is kind of fun. The other one, this is very interesting. And I bet a lot of people who are into fashion will recognize this, is called the muslin disease. So during post-revolutionary war in France, there's this drift away from having huge wigs and huge ball gowns and all the extravagance of like Marie Antoinette, for example. All of that is like, no, we're going back to something a little bit more simple. So they start making these lovely muslin gowns. Now, the legend is that in order for the dress to cling even more to a woman's body, because this was all about, it was about body positivity and women.
Ew.
Shut up. They would apparently put water on this muslin gown, and it was okay during the summer, but the French winter of 1803 was particularly terrible. I believe I found one source for this, and I couldn't find anything else about it. But apparently, Napoleon had some kind of thing going on about using wood for fire. They were trying to conserve wood. So it was just a really cold winter, and then plus there wasn't a lot of wood to go around. So then you're wearing these muslin gowns, which are very thin as it is. And if you're into wetting them, well, you catch pneumonia, like super fast. The only problem is there's absolutely zero historical evidence that women actually purposely wetted their muslin gown at all. Like zero.
Do you think that the historical evidence probably just like dried up?
Ha!
Dried. The
That's kind of
gowns
funny.
dried.
That's good. That was pretty damn good. I'm proud of you,
Thanks.
JC. Proud of you.
I half pay attention, but when I do, I got some funny quips up my sleeves.
So what was I gonna say? It all dried up. Yeah. Okay. God damn it. Yeah. In closing, that is basically looked at now, historically speaking, that it was just a really, really shitty winter, and a lot of people had traded in some of their fancy, heavier clothing for this new line, and it was just not warm enough. So there was a lot of people in general who died during that winter of 1803. It had nothing to do necessarily with the muslin gown, just it was very fucking cold and there was no wood. Wigs. Let's talk about wigs for just a moment. Complete fire hazard. Like, you would just walk around and, catch fire. And that'd be the end.
I think I know where this conversation is going, but go on.
That's the thing. So between wigs and crinoline skirts, I'd heard about both of these things a lot, but the crinoline skirt was kind of interesting because you always see these, like the Southern belles, really big hoop skirts, they would call them down there. Crin, did not know this. Crin is a word meaning the horsehair part of it. It was made of horsehair and metal. And pretty much during that time period when this was in high fashion, every single fucking fabric that anybody wore was a fire hazard. So if you match that with this giant skirt that you have absolutely no control over, which was another problem, all it took was a wind gust. Again, a lot of this is legendary. Couldn't actually find any historical backup for it, but in my head, I was seeing it happen and I was kind of laughing to myself. A gust of wind would like blow a woman right off of a pier into the ocean. Too much of a gust of wind, and you're near a cliff and you're just just gone, over your cliff.
Oh,
If
jeez.
she gets blown into the ocean, it's no longer a fire hazard, right?
Right. Now she just drowns. Yeah.
But no longer a fire hazard.
There's a whole other mess of problems.
Sounds
Yeah.
to me like problem solved.
God. Women falling over in the streets and getting hit by horse and buggy. And now one of the numbers that floats out there a lot is that there were over 3,000 women or cases that someone had gone through newspaper articles from the time period, and that there were over 3,000 cases of women catching fire because of crinoline skirts alone. Forget the wigs. Just the crinoline skirts alone would kill you, because everything that you're wearing is flammable, and you're wearing a giant thing that you have no control over. So you're walking around. You get this between either being too close to a fireplace or gas lights also was a problem. And you'd catch on fire, and you'd go up so fast that like your friend would maybe try to help you, but she's also wearing flammable everything. So she catches on fire, and it just goes all over an entire party could like catch fire within like 2 minutes. Was for some reason in my head right now that's comical, but not that's not funny. But apparently Florence Nightingale had done research on this as well and came up with a number that was closer to 700, like actual real cases of women getting set on fire because of crinoline skirts.
I would say that's still like 700 too many.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. The basic idea here is that the clothes can kill people. You had some other really weird ass fashion, a hobble skirt. You could barely move in it. It was very tight around your ankles, and it was supposed to make it so that women could like walk very daintily, right? Because God forbid.
Instead, did it make them hobble?
Yes.
Nice.
At least one account, historically speaking, is out there where a woman was walking on the street and a horse and carriage. The horses kind of went nuts for a minute, got really spooked, and she tried to get out of the way, but she's wearing one of these hobble skirts and she couldn't run because you can't. Your legs are bound, basically, in this stupid thing. Look it up. It's a really weird looking fashion. And you've probably seen it at some point, even in a cartoon somewhere. One of these like old fashioned ladies with this like really tight.
Yeah,
skirt.
that
Yes.
sounds
Yes.
terrible. That looks terrible.
Yeah, you can't. You literally can't run.
But to be fair, makes them booties look nice.
That's
Just
what it was
saying.
all about. That's exactly what it was about.
Now we have leggings. Back then, hobble skirts.
High heels have a reputation of getting people killed. And in closing on the whole clothing in general being deadly, the Radium Girls. I thought about doing an episode on the Radium Girls, but honestly, there's a whole movie about this now. You could just go watch that. Yeah, it's pretty awful. Pretty awful. It took those women a really long time to sue the proper people and have some kind of restitution, but they all died of radium poisoning.
Wow. Yeah, I'm
Ooh.
reading about this now.
Yeah.
For
It's-
watches. Ew.
Yes.
Who
Yes.
even wears watches?
Right?
I hate
Time is
things around my
relevant.
wrist.
Except handcuffs.
Oh my god.
Yeah, don't look at the pictures right now. It's gonna freak you the fuck out.
Too late.
You know
Yeah.
I'm going to do that specifically now.
Right this moment.
Right.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
That's not right. Everybody, all of our listeners, just
Wowzers.
look it up. I believe it's Netflix. So you can go watch that. Yeah, people are just fucking crazy. It was a fad. Radium was a fad, just like anything else that we have out now. There's now everything is quantum medicine, which is like total bullshit. Sorry if you believe it. It is what it is. Most of the time you wind up hurting yourself more than not hurting yourself. And in this case, anything that was irradiated was seen as medically fantastic for you because they had no idea what it actually did. So they would use it in watches. It was used in makeup. There were women even who would like put it on their faces and their eyes and stuff so they could like light up literally a room. Yeah, except that you're irradiating your goddamn self. So
know.
But these girls, this was in a situation where they were making watches and they had to get really fine tip point on their brushes or their paintbrush. So they would stick it in paint that had the radium in it and then they would lick it. And they're doing this over and over and over again all day. Now, I understand as an artist, I've done this myself, like just, lick the tip of the brush. But my brushes are clean and also doesn't have radium in it, So like if I want a fine point, just because you can get it with your tongue just right. So I understand the concept of what they were attempting to do, but then that's your job and you're doing that every day for 8 hours a day.
Whoa. This was in the 1920s. Those bitches were working 12-hour shifts.
Probably, but anyway, I'm just saying.
Weren't labor laws.
I'm saying roughly 8 hours a day of irradiating yourself every single day.
Sure.
Gross.
Yeah, they wound up suing the company and they won, but it took them a very, very fucking long time. And by that time, half of them were already dead.
Yeah.
More money for the other half then.
No, that's not cool.
Look, silver lining.
The other half was probably not well off either.
No,
no, they all died. They all eventually died from it. It's just terrible.
Well, I mean, everyone eventually dies, but yeah.
Thank you, JC.
From it,
Thank you
I
so
said,
much.
from it. They died from the radium poisoning.
I'm just trying to be positive.
Yeah. Thanks for your positivity.
You're literally the worst.
Yes.
All right, Cord.
Yes.
Tell us about the haunted wedding dress.
Yes.
Of the real Miss Havisham.
Miss who?
Miss Havisham from Great Expectations. Charles Dickens.
Okay.
Am I the only person that reads books?
No.
I don't know how to read.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Jason.
I'm currently halfway through Moby Dick, so no, you're not the only one.
Oh, good for you. You got to read that.
It's like the third time I'm reading it. I love that book.
Again.
Lord, I want you to stop reading it right now.
So I might read now that I've been accosted. Anyway.
Yeah. So Miss Havisham, in case anybody doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about, she's the rich old woman that got abandoned by her groom on the night of her wedding, and basically time has stopped in her head. Yeah, so this is basically a real life version of that.
Yes.
Ann Baker, right? Anna Baker?
Anna Baker from Altoona, Pennsylvania.
That's the most Texas sounding city in Pennsylvania, BT dubs.
I like the word tuna, so I like saying Altoona. Anyway, Anna Baker's father, Elias Baker, was allegedly a very rich man because he has a flippin' mansion that's still around. It's a museum now. And his daughter fell in love with somebody, and he did not approve of the marriage in any way, shape, or form.
And why didn't he?
I believe it was because the man was very poor, but I've only really read one article that said that, so...
He was a factory worker.
Yes. He didn't have a lot of money, so the father did not approve of the marriage in any way. They planned the wedding anyway, to the point where they got the dress. And I guess the dad kiboshed that pretty hard. Said no. Again, only read one article that said this, but apparently he bought the place of work that the dude worked at and shut it down just so the guy had to leave town. Yeah, essentially after that, she was obviously angry with her father and swore to never marry. She became a recluse to some extent. She would not see any people that her father would bring around. Denied. No, you my dad likes you, so I don't like you.
Yeah.
And so eventually she died, and this wedding dress was still around. Apparently she haunts the wedding dress. People have claimed to see it shake or jostle around as if it's trying to dance, which they claimed she would dance by herself in the dress at night. So people have claimed that they have witnessed it attempting to dance by itself, and it gives people visions of ghost women walking around. Allegedly, they had to cover it with a special cloth so that people could not see the ghosts that were essentially constantly around this dress, which is super cool to me. That's pretty much it. Nothing really harmful came out of this dress. It didn't necessarily kill anybody that I'm aware of.
Yeah, the dad was like a complete and utter asshole. This is another one of these lovely stories about, men who insisted during this time period that their daughters were only good for marrying off, especially if they were beautiful like she was, right? They're like, oh, but you could marry a high ranking military officer or a prince or maybe a senator or,
Or somebody with a butt ton of money.
like all those people that I just said. Yeah.
Well, just in general.
Yeah, but this is the time you can still be a countess or a duchess. Is still like a really big deal.
Yeah.
So, she falls in love with this poor guy, and the dad. Now, the one that I read didn't really say anything about him buying the factory, but he definitely got him fired. He also used his influence with the politicians and the local police to get him removed from Pennsylvania, threatening to throw him in jail or possibly even murder him. That's how pissed off he was. And so there's no record of what happened to him. He obviously just moved on with his life, married someone else, but it was like in her head as if time just stopped.
Well, we don't know for sure if he married.
Maybe there's a
maybe
haunted
not.
groom's tuxedo out there somewhere.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, that's a good
Maybe.
point. Yeah, in the article that I read, I couldn't find a date on mine, but according to this, it says that it is on display, but it's in a glass case so that you can't. It's like hermetically sealed, so it can't deteriorate anymore.
Yeah.
But
Or
it
at
is in the
least
museum.
reduce the deterioration.
And then the legend has it that yes, she did become a spinster, like you were saying, like she didn't marry anybody. But the legendary part of it is that she outlived everybody in her family. And 1914, when she passes away on this rainy day, that the servants found her with the wedding dress in her hands on her deathbed. This again, like, kind of speaks to the whole. We always talk about places that get abandoned that have a weird vibe to them. This place was abandoned for a while. It wasn't until the county was able to purchase it and then decided to turn it into a museum. And it was redone on the inside in the same Victorian fashion that it would have been when it was built. So it's kind of creepy to think that like nobody was in there for a while. Was her ghost like still hanging out in there? And everything's still there, but just untouched for the same as it was in her own head. I don't know. I like that story. I think it's really cool. Hey, let's talk about the Wampanoag historic wampum belt that also has some kind of weird spookiness around it.
I will say I deeply enjoy the name Wampum Belt because it seems like something that you would like bop someone on the head with.
Yes.
That's not at all what it is. Wampum Belt. I gave him a
Wampum
good
on the
old
head.
wampum. I looked at pictures. Their Wampum Belt's pretty cool.
So this one comes with a history lesson. Everybody knows how much Kiki loves to talk about
One
history.
moment. I'm going to go to sleep.
Wow.
This one's a good one, though.
Is it? Okay. I'll be the judge of that.
Okay. It's actually a very short history lesson.
Thank
just
God.
to catch everybody up on understanding what the hell this actually means to people. When colonists first started to explore the areas south and west of the Plymouth colony, instead of a thriving Wampanoag native community, they found a whole bunch of skulls and bones of the dead. And that was because of the smallpox invasion brought to New England in 1617 by Captain John Smith.
Oops.
Yeah. A peace treaty between the Wampanoag tribe that remained and the Plymouth colony was subsequently forged and lasted roughly 40 years. Of course, during those 40 years, the native peoples were getting completely screwed over by lies and misconceptions because they didn't understand what they were getting into. For example, the deed to Bridgewater, signed in 1649 by Massasoit, the chief, he thought that he was simply granting permission for colonists to use fertile land in the area, but instead, he'd actually sold them 70 square miles of native land for $35 in today's money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but still, relations remained peaceful even after this until Massasoit's death. His son, however, this is where like a little tiny bit of confusion comes in if you're trying to read this. Metacom is his son, but he goes by King Philip. He becomes the chief, and he decides that he has had enough and it's time for the lying colonists to pay. I like the quote here about, it says, the course of events that followed would be the most brutal, inhumane, horrific war ever to be fought on American soil. That a movie couldn't possibly do this justice. It's like heads on spikes, mutilations, body chopping, people hung in trees, with their entrails out. I mean, it's just the worst because the Native Americans had had enough and they kept getting taken advantage of constantly. And I understand their pain and of course, killing is never the answer, but I understand. Okay.
What you're saying is Phil wasn't playing games no.
No, Phil was not playing games no more. Unfortunately, even after the brutality, he loses.
Oops.
All of his belongings are taken by a Captain Benjamin Church in Rehoboth, Massachusetts. And these belongings include 6 feet of beads. And it's basically the wampum belt. It's 9 inches long. It was made with black and white beads and had various figures with flowers and also birds and beasts. So this is a very sacred royal wampum belt, and therefore it was believed to be very powerful. So Church thinks that he's like the shit because he's coming in, having gotten rid of Philip, and also taking his very sacred and powerful object. Oh, technically this stuff is taken from a chief Anawan. Anawan says that Philip gave him everything on Philip's death, right? So Church basically says, well, Anawan just passed these, things down, right? From chief to chief. And therefore they're mine. Everybody thinks that's a load of shit. They're not really sure how Church got a hold of this stuff, but people saw it. People knew that he had it. He had it for at least 9 months, but no one knows exactly where he kept it. It's possible that he kept it at a private residence. But in 1677, the belt supposedly travels all the way back to the King of England at the time. However, England claims that they never received any of the stuff. So in the 1990s, a member of the Rehoboth Historical Society writes a letter to Prince Charles and asks, basically, England, can you please research your archives and museums for this missing wampum belt? It's been a long time. We'd really like to have it back. England does help out as much as they possibly can. They search through everything, can't find it. It is gone. Here's the thing, though. People will continue to say that this missing belt and possibly a curse associated with it is why we have so many issues in the Bridgewater Triangle.
I do remember when you said Bridgewater, I'm like, I kind of know this story.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. And to clarify, it has been 350 years since that belt has gone missing, and to this day, no one knows what happened to it after.
What year was it sent to the King of England?
It was 1677.
That would be William III of England.
Oh, gee, thanks for looking that up.
You're welcome.
Willie
Glad I
III.
could help. Yeah, William III.
William III. But he claimed that he never received anything. It has been remade in commemoration of the 400th anniversary of the Mayflower voyage. This was last November. So there was sort of a recreating of what it could possibly have looked like with the black and white beads. It's really, really lovely. There's some pictures of it in news articles about the 400th anniversary, and it was recreated by Wampanoag Native people. So that was pretty cool. I mean, you can kind of look at that and get sort of an idea of what it would have looked like. But it is gone.
Oof.
So because that belt's missing, Bridgewater Triangle super haunted is basically like the story, right?
Yeah.
Spooky. Because Bridgewater Triangle super haunted, guys. We'll have to do like a 3-part episode on Bridgewater Triangle.
Possibly.
Maybe a 7-part. But you know what? F it. Let's do 27 parts.
There's so many things that go on there. A lot of mental issues.
Well, isn't there like a mental health facility like right fucking there? Or a prison, one of the two.
It's like,
well, but like back in the 60s where it was essentially
Right.
the same thing.
I was going to say, back in the day, it was the same goddamn thing. Yeah, so some people, they attribute the Bridgewater Triangle itself to those mental issues as far as like the depression and the suicides and everything else. I don't know about that. I'm just kind of mentioning it because it's a thing. But yeah, there's a lot of other weird shit that goes on there too.
Like Bigfoots and UFOs and ghosts and
Yeah.
shadows.
It's definitely a convergence area. You know, we talked in one of our bonus episodes, I think it was the Texas one, where we talked a lot about how Native peoples would, curse whole places because, fuck white people.
To be fair, fuck white people.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying fuck white people.
Yeah. Welcome to
Yeah.
Mission Spooky, where we're all white, but fuck white people. Get it? Like, fuck them.
We understand. We're with you.
Wow.
By this time, I will have released our little PSA on the word spooky, and it's the is it racist or not?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh,
gonna,
no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna rehash it here because I've already done a little PSA that I've already dropped yesterday for you guys. So I did some homework and actually pointed you in the direction of a great African American podcast we've talked about before, One Mic Podcast. So yeah, we're totally like we're Black Lives Matter and fuck white people, okay? Because they need to understand this is why we can't have nice things. This is why places are cursed because of all the terrible things that we did to Native Americans. So let's go there first. We'll start with them. And then we'll go to the black folks, which by the way, the next thing we're going to talk about is the Conjured Chest that has a story about a slave who made the chest and then got murdered by the man who he made it for. So
Like, did he
Yeah.
do a bad job on the chest? Like, why?
no,
What?
Chest looks pretty cool.
it's gorgeous.
The guy said he fucking hated the chest, though.
I just, I don't understand. But anyway, this is cool. It does have a little bit of roots here in Pennsylvania. So I read the book. There's a book called The Conjured Chest, A Cursed Family in Old Kentucky. And it is written by Beverly Maine Kienzle, who's the daughter of Virginia Carey Hudson Maine, who wrote a letter basically for the family explaining this chest and its origins, possible origins anyway, because this was basically a family legend that Beverly winds up diving into and finding out that a lot of it was true. And even more creepy, that she was able to link these deaths directly to people who had the chest in their house. Yeah, it's cute. It's like, well, it's cute. I say it's cute because it's only 43 pages long.
It's cute.
I bought the book. It's like a cute book 'cause it's like little. It's 43 pages long with the addendum of her research, and I bought it on Amazon for Kindle for like $2.99. So if you want to read it, I'm not gonna get into all the logistics of it because I would like you guys to go purchase the book. She deserves it. She did all the damn legwork here. But we're putting it into cursed clothing because anytime somebody put their clothes in the chest, they died.
Bum, bum, bum.
This is crazy. So the legend part of it is that there's a man named Jeremiah Graham, and he's making preparations for his firstborn kid. He wants to have this chest hand carved. So he finds this enslaved man named Remus, and after Remus creates this beautiful chest, Jeremiah is not happy with it, and he beats him to death. Because, that's what you do.
Yep.
Oh boy. So, in order to avenge the death of Remus, the other enslaved African Americans sprinkled dried owl's blood inside the drawers and put a curse on it. The chest is then still owned by Jeremiah. He puts it into his child's nursery, and then tragedy just occurs to anyone who winds up putting their clothing in the chest. And 16 people in total are believed to have died by using the chest.
Oops.
Yeah. So Beverly did her homework on the actual legend. In her book, she does come across a Jeremiah Graham that might possibly be the slave owner and the person who commissioned it. She can't say for 100% sure, but she does find someone who fits in the timeline and in the area, which is like amazing in itself. But there was several Jeremiah Grahams, but she goes through in the addendum to the book. She has the list of all of them. You can see like why the one that she picked actually fits in and had a infant child who died.
Mhm.
Remus, as the slave name, is sort of one of those common names like Moses. And of course, unfortunately, and some of you guys may know this, may not, but slaves were not allowed to have their actual names. They had to be named by their master. So you have a lot of repeat names, and it becomes a little bit difficult to track down the actual slave. And as we just went over in the last episode, it wasn't until did I say 1790 census that slave names were even in the census because they weren't considered, human beings. So fuck white people. Anyway, so anyway, that beginning of the story is always going to kind of be a legend because we can't say for sure,
Sure.
However, Jeremiah Graham's child, for whom the chest is made, does die in infancy. She was able to find someone who fit the bill. Jeremiah's twin brother, Jonathan, he had a son. Those son's clothes were placed in the chest, and he was stabbed to death by his servant on his 21st birthday.
Oop.
Yeah, oops. Jeremiah and Jonathan's sister-in-law, Amanda Winchell Graham, the wife of a Moses Graham, put the chest in the attic. They were like, screw this, right? There's already some bad juju with it. Then there was a man named John Ryan, who was a recent immigrant from Ireland. He married Catherine Winchell. Amanda Winchell Graham had arranged for them to live on land belonging to the Grahams, gave them the chest, which they both used. They wound up being just poor. And John, he plans to go to New Orleans to find work, kind of like go ahead of her, and he winds up getting killed in an accident. Then Catherine Winchell Ryan herself dies. Then the child of Eliza Ryan, they wind up dying at age 10. So some of this I feel like, okay, well, how long did it take them to put the stuff in the chest? Like, I know that's a really young age to die at, but, was it other causes? You got to ask yourself that question. There's a Stella Stone cipher who put her wedding clothes in the chest. She died within 2 years of the wedding. As I'm going down the list, I get this feeling like it's not just about dying immediately. It is also about like there's some time in between, but not very long. And then there's some times when it's like no time at all. It just happens. So to me, it's more like misfortune, dying too young, having an accident. It is very odd, especially since it's all around the damn chest.
Yeah.
If I may, Kiki.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may. Most humans have died without interacting with the chest. I think that's more odd.
That doesn't even make any sense, Jason.
Yes, it does. Most people have never interacted with the chest and still die. I'm saying it's like, what if those people were going to die regardless of interacting with the chest?
I think I just said that. Did I not just say that?
Well, it's weird. I don't know. I don't like these things.
I mean, I'm saying it's interesting because it's specifically either in the family or it's been passed down to other people. And then those people have had crazy misfortune, right? So whether it's a chest or not, who knows? But we're looking at it as an investigation, right? So when I get to I'm down to number 10, I mean, that's a lot of people who died in weird circumstances so far, or just died way earlier, maybe. When she was a child, she remembers her own mother telling her the chest was in their house for a while. Don't touch the chest. Don't put anything in it. Don't even open the top two drawers. So let's just say at this point that even if the chest itself is not quote unquote haunted, perhaps all of this is happening because psychologically the people around it believe that the chest is going to cause problems. Who knows?
Right, because I was gonna ask this whole time, is this like legend moving along the chest? Because if that's the case, why didn't they just get rid of it?
Well,
that's gonna be my big question.
Interesting, right? So hold on. Let's go to, where was I? It was at number 10. Like I said, it's not only death, but people would have just bad stuff happen to them. So this woman, Nellie Gregory, she winds up putting her wedding clothes in the chest, and then her husband left her, just up and deserted her one day. Eliza Gregory's husband, John David, died in 1908. Eliza rearranged her house and moved the chest into her room. Eliza took her own life and died in 1915. Then the chest moves to Louisville with Eliza and John David granddaughter, Virginia Carey Hudson, and that's where it starts picking up with the more current timeline that the woman who wrote the book, she remembers all of these stories being told to her. And they're 100% part of the family. Virginia put her first child's baby clothes in the chest, and the child is born premature and dies on the same day. Virginia and Curtly Cleveland have 2 daughters, the second being Anne. Anne's clothing is placed in the chest, and Anne is struck with polio. She recovered, but she had those polio symptoms for the rest of her life, obviously. Virginia and Curtly's older daughter is Virginia Hudson Cleveland. She put her wedding clothes in the chest, and her husband, Wilbur, winds up getting rushed to the hospital for an appendectomy, and he dies in 1944, less than a year after they're married. And that was an accident. It was actually an overdose of ether, like in the hospital. So that was a hospital accident. Their neighbor, Sonny Moore Jr., puts his hunting clothes in the chest. He is killed in a gun accident at the home of a neighbor. Virginia and Curtly's son, Richard, put his clothes in the chest, and less than a week later, he's stabbed through the hand at school. So he didn't die, but he got injured. Oh, I forgot. Her cousin, who had his clothes in the chest, he fell off of a 30-foot trestle when he was trying to get off a train and died.
Jeez Louise.
That's the first person that she remembers, like in her family in the book, with her mom telling her the story. And then, of course, Virginia didn't want the chest anymore after that. She got rid of it.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Now, what's really interesting is that Virginia didn't want anyone else getting hurt, right? So she's like, we need to do something about this. Well, she tells Sally, who's a maid African American who had worked with her entire life. And Sally says that this is what's called a conjure, that if it's true that this slave had made the chest and was beat to death, there's a very good possibility that his family or his friends cursed the chest. Now, I'm not 100% certain because there's nothing on it. I'm wondering, anybody out there, you can always email me or let us know through Instagram. Would this be hoodoo? I'm not really sure how that works. But Sally, she attempts to break the curse for the chest, but she tells Virginia that one of them will die before the lilac leaves fall off the bush. What's interesting is both women did have medical issues up to this point because they were older, but it is Sally who dies the following September after attempting to remove the curse. And to this day, there are owl feathers that remain in the top drawer to keep the curse at bay. So now the legend is that Sally gave her own life to break the curse of African American ancestors that were very angry, and rightly so.
Yeah.
Needless to say, interesting story. And some of the family lived here in Pennsylvania and moved down to Kentucky. The chest is actually in a museum. The Kentucky Historical Society has it. Beverly got invited onto, Zach Baggins had the show where he started taking stuff to Las Vegas. He winds up arranging for the chest to be at his location and asked Beverly to come out to Las Vegas to be on his show and reveal the chest to her. So she hasn't seen it in 30, 40 years. But she agreed to it. She knew that he was going to show her the chest after she hadn't seen it for so long. So that's out there too, if anybody wants to watch that.
So JC, we gotta go to Kentucky and take those owl feathers out and put your clothes in there.
Yes, just to test it. It's for science.
For science!
So there again lies the issue of, do you climb the tree?
For science.
When everybody tells you not to because there's a curse in the tree, do you put your clothes in the chest to test the theory?
For science.
I don't think JC could climb the tree, but he can put his clothes in a dresser.
Yeah.
True. Also, I could definitely climb a tree. Fuck you for that negativity. I'm not crying right now. You're crying.
Oh,
I'm just saying. I've known you for a very long time, and we've spent a lot of time in the woods where we had every opportunity to get up into a tree, and I've never seen you get up into one of them there big tall boys.
Have any of those big tall boys been supposedly cursed and had a fence around it to keep people from climbing on it? No. If that situation...
What you're saying is if you're hindered more by it, you're going to actually climb it? I doubt it.
Yeah, I had no reason to climb those trees. I'm capable of climbing trees. You just climb. It's just going up. It's the coming down part that's really hard.
Not really, you just fall out.
Well, it's coming down safely. That's really hard.
The landing part, that's a bitch. So my dad used to say about flying. He's like, taking off is fine. It's the landing that's the problem. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for cursed clothing. But I've enjoyed doing this research so much that we are definitely doing more of these. Like we have a whole bunch of these planned because there's too many like cursed objects. This is insane. You have to kind of break them down a bit. So I'm not going to tell you guys what's next.
Right, are you going to tell Cord and I?
Duh.
Oh,
I mean the
okay.
listeners. We're going to surprise them.
Oh.
Surprise! It's cursed blank. Fill in the blanks. I have like 3 more
Ah.
episodes planned. And we're gonna do our 3rd edition of the military hauntings, but I'm gonna save that. All right, so our musical guest today is Bonnie and the Mere Mortals with their song Curses.
Heyo.
Yeah, I would call this Southern Gothic, but Appalachia. They're from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Really cool. I think you guys will love it. And then when we get back, we'll do our Spooky Squad news and
Beautiful sons of witches and something of something.
it's terrible.
Getting better every time, Jay.
I
Yep,
know, right?
it just gets
Mm.
better and better. Nah,
Get better every time.
I gotta like have a note card of the quotes, like the things I'm supposed to say. I should have a note card right here. I don't.
Welcome
Oh.
back, you guys. Good job, dude.
You peeps. What's our Spooky Squad news?
if you want to join the squad, go over to Twitter, Instagram, follow us on there. You can follow us on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel. Please follow us on there because we actually have really great numbers on YouTube, except for our freaking like no one's following us. We need you guys to subscribe. Damn it, just do it.
Give us a like and subscribe.
Yeah, right. Smash that button. I love all that crap.
Hit the bell for notifications.
Yeah, you don't even need to do that. It's fine. You don't have to do that part. Just follow us. That's all I'm asking. We do have a Patreon.com/Mission Spooky. There's new stuff coming out on Apple and Spotify for different tier levels. We are looking into that as far as adding bonus episodes. That would be you pay monthly through Spotify or Apple and you would get extra stuff from us that way instead of doing just Patreon. Makes it a little bit easier for you guys if you want to listen to the extra stuff, but you just want to click one button. I get it. So we are working on that. Like us on Podchaser and rate and review us on Podchaser or on iTunes. Both of those things help us get noticed, and we appreciate it very much. If you don't feel like giving us any money, that's great. At least give us a little shout out. That's all we need. As I said, I'm going to be adding all of our content from Pot of Holding into Mission Spooky. Those will have a little icon that says "Get Geeky with Kiki," and that will be all kinds of interviews and reviews going forward, including, since we are starting officially our TTRPG Cord versus Cryptid stuff. Like I said, we have another one scheduled that will be out next month. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do my geeky reviews of Candlekeep Mysteries, and they just dropped Ravenloft. I'll be running some of that. So if that's an interest to you, because there seems to be a lot of crossover in the community between paranormal and D&D. So I'm just like, hey, screw it. Let's put it on here. If you don't want to listen to it, you can just slide past it and listen to the next regular episode of Spookiness. And I just recorded a voiceover for a podcast that's going to be coming out really soon. It is actually our artist, Chris Stone. He's already been writing his own material, and it's going to be horror based. So I'll be helping him out doing some voices for different characters. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I will be on Historical AF sometime next month, but I'll let you guys know when that drops because I haven't recorded that yet. But I'll be doing fairy tales, so I'm super excited about it. I keep want to talk about it. I'm like, it's going to be so cool. Anything you guys are doing that's exciting? When are you going to wrestle again, Cord?
It's questionable. They're starting WXW starting live shows in 2 weeks, but they also are demolishing the training center, so we don't have a training center. So I have no idea.
Dang it. Well,
hopefully sooner rather than later, but
say as soon as you're back in the ring, we're going to be talking about that stuff too.
Yeah, we'll switch over to a wrestling podcast.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No, that's going to be individual segments called Keeping Up with Cord.
Yeah.
I already have it all figured out.
Nice.
Just like, oh my gosh, Cord and I are going to do separate segments on plants. What were we calling that?
Dude, I'm in.
You were calling? You called it something. It was perfect. God damn it, Gord.
No. You'll
Well,
have
it's
to go back.
it's recorded. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's somewhere.
I remember that conversation. I don't remember. Nope, it's not coming to me. Sorry.
Yeah, me neither. I'm sorry, but I did remember. Wait, I have all these no, that's not right. I have all kinds of notes on my computer. What does this say? Uncursify. That came up recently again when I was listening to old podcasts. And then if it did happen, that's shitty. I think that should be a t-shirt. Also, the Society for Betterment of Goblins. I forgot that was supposed to be a t-shirt too. I'm working on these things. Anyway, yeah, we'll do that.
Yes.
This is why Kiki's going to take a 4-week break
Holy Jesus.
and write all this stuff out and start recording so we can get ahead.
Cool.
But we'll let you know when we go on a brief hiatus, which really will only be for you guys 2 episodes, because I will be putting out the older Pot of Holding material, especially our horror movie reviews and stuff. So there'll be something for y'all to listen to on our feed, but it just won't be new stuff until maybe July.
Yes.
We'll see. Taking us out is going to be Bonnie and the Mere Mortals from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with their song Curses. Stay spooky and don't die, guys. But if you do, contact us
via, and I think I've said this before, but if you could, write notes on $20 bills and send them to us. That would be wonderful. Thanks.
That's so old. We got to come up with something different, man.
No, I like that one because #money.